A2theK, stories of progress. A2theK, stories of progress.
Hello, one and all. Welcome to Stories of Progress. We're your hosts, A2theK, and joining us today is a former three-time Progress Tag Team Champion and now former member of Smokin Aces, Nick Riley. Nick, thanks so much for being here, man. How are you?
Oh, good. You know, it still doesn't actually feel real. Like
Mm.
I was with Charlie on Friday. We went for some birthday drinks, and we're just reminiscing. And then you get that. Do you know what? Shame we can't do this anymore and this anymore.
Yeah,
But I don't think that's ever going to go. I
no,
think that'll always eat away at me. And
yeah,
especially as our last match was such a banger. I don't know. Yeah,
yeah. It'll always
yeah.
be
I could
surreal.
go into that, but yeah,
I'm
Well,
sure we'll cover that.
yeah. Well, I mean, we'll start if we could. If you could just
yeah.
sort of give us a quick summary of your career before Progress and how your partnership with Charlie Sterling first came about.
So I've probably known Charlie for 10. So I've been wrestling 16 years. I've probably known Charlie maybe 12 years of it. Just through we went to some classes together, like in Pro EV. Like, I knew him from there, and everyone always said to us, because we wrestled similar, or we did at the time anyway.
Yeah.
Charlie nowadays he's like gone into like this old school, and he's obsessed with how wrestling used to be. And I always want to wrestle modern, I guess. So that's why, for me, that's why we work so well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've known him for that long. He, just such a talent. Yeah, but everyone always used to say to us, like, you guys should tag. There's something there. And for whatever reason, we never did. We just was like, nah, it's okay. And I don't know if I've gone off topic of what you asked, but basically we got given a chance to tag for Progress for the first time.
Yeah.
And I presented it to him. I said, "Oh, mate, look, I've got an in on Progress, but I want you to like come in with me." And he was like, "Yeah, 100%, I'll do it." And then it just snowballed from that, really.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you talk about that. Obviously, you made your debut at Chapter 109 and you got the victory over Greedy Souls. So,
Yeah,
what was it like kind of entering a brand new locker room in Progress and, making your debut without any fans in attendance as well? Must have been
yeah,
pretty weird.
yeah, really, really weird. And because I think in my head, there's always been like this mental side of like, oh, can I get over with Progress fans? And
Mm.
then when you're there and there's no fans, you literally have no idea. Um, and we always wanted to work for them, but of course, you're coming through lockdown, like all the gyms were closed, like no one had their hair cut properly. So when we came to the show, we all looked a mess. But thankfully it worked out all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At chapter 115, you came within a heartbeat to becoming a number one contender in a match against your own tag partner. So I just wondered, really, I suppose, what was it like wrestling, for such high stakes, and did it affect your bond with Charlie?
No, not at all. Do you know what? I think during that period as well, we had both of us had such a drive. Like when we go and film these shows, and then we go away, and both of us would just have the drive to watch wrestling again, like to get better, get new ideas.
So you won the tag titles from like us, Jim, at Chapter 121. What did it mean for you and Charlie to win the belts? Do you ever wish it did happen in front of a live crowd?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Rather it happened in front of a live crowd because you don't know how people are going to gauge it, and we still didn't know how the live crowd were going to gauge us. But as well, it was such a we set that goal, right? We need to win the belts. Then we need to establish ourselves. That was our journey we planned. So the fact that we'd won them was massive for us. It was such a big deal, and then because the footage didn't come out for like another month. Like we knew we were the champs, but we couldn't actually say anything or do anything. So it was, I don't know. It was bittersweet, I suppose, but would much rather everything in front of fans.
Yeah, of course.
100%.
100%. But you talk about obviously, winning the belts and then establishing yourself, and obviously you had your first defense at the next chapter against Cara Noir and Chris Ridgway. So I just wondered, sort of, how did you approach the challenge of facing two singles wrestlers, and and how did it feel sort of pinning Cara Noir, who was the Progress Men's Champion at the time? Does that still stand out as a highlight for you?
Yes, yeah, massively, and I have so much respect for Cara as well. If I'm being honest, I watched them two absolutely batter each other, and I absolutely dreaded it. But like everything was fine. But just I watched them hit each other so hard. I was like, "Fuck, that is going to be rough."
Yeah.
So I had like a bit of fear there. But at the time, like Cara was the man as well. He was Progress. So to actually pin him was wild to me, especially at that point because we were new to Progress anyway. But then it showed huge faith from the company as well. So yeah, it can only be a positive.
Yeah, well, I mean, you talk about pinning Cara. Obviously, that earned you your first Progress World title shot at Chapter 125. How did it feel to then go, challenging for the world title and obviously stepping into the ring with someone like him one-on-one?
So I don't know. You may have to go back and watch it, but there's one point where I go for like a moonsault out of the corner, and he goes for his like running knee, and as he hits me in midair, I had like a nose ring in at the time. Well, I've still got one now, but he smacked it out, and then the whole match there's like blood pouring from my nose. It's from that exact moment. But as he hit the nose ring out of my nose, my knee hit him in the head, so he was like seeing stars, and I was like bleeding from the nose. But I've actually watched some of those clips back not too long ago, and we did some really like creative stuff. I kind of forgot about it. I swear in wrestling, I have these matches and I forgot about them a month later, and then you watch highlights or I make a video or something, and oh shit, I did that. Like I did this. Yeah, it's wild.
I suppose that's the thing, because you're always you're looking forward, aren't you, to the next match and to the next challenge. So it must be nice to sort of like occasionally look at the highlights and sort of reminisce is probably not the right word, but
Yeah, I think it's pretty close.
But obviously, your last match of the Peckham era was a defense against Greedy Souls. How did it feel to sort of close the chapter with another successful defense? And I suppose, how would you sum up that period of your career?
Strange, mainly because I'd never performed. Well, I used to do a bit of backyard wrestling when I was like 16 or something.
Nice.
But this was very similar. I remember I took like a doomsday device on the floor, but then there's nothing. Yeah, I know, like rough. And then there's no reaction. I think I was lying there like, what am I doing? but you were still on a Progress show, and I think that's there was such a drive there to get things right. And full credit for them, because they didn't have to produce anything during this period. And also, I kind of forget this as well, but everything was on the network. So we were all being shown on WWE Network every week. So that,
of course,
that was like a kind of big thing. Like all my idols are on there, and you could search my name and my name would come up. It's just like a little nod. So actually, I've got fond memories of it. It was very like team bonding as well. I felt like, because I didn't know half of the guys, or I knew of them but never knew them. So it was good. Okay. Yeah, good time.
Yeah. So that takes on to Chapter 127, which was your first Electric Ballroom debut. How hard was it to kind of get fans on your side when you're going up against a team like Sunshine Machine? Like, I think Chuck Mambo said that the reaction you got that night was pretty unfair.
Yeah, it was very. So this is what I mean. So we didn't know how to be. Like, do we be like real Blue Eye, or we don't know? So we just come out and we were just ourselves. But our reaction was definitely on the fence.
Yeah,
borderline to being booed, but that was because they were so over. And then we had this banger. It's actually one of my favorite Progress matches. Just the back end just goes up. But I don't know. I can't say how I expected him to be. I had no idea. But Charlie was pretty adamant. He saw this coming. He was like, "Nope, we have to earn it." And we were right. And in the end, we did. So, no, it was good.
So obviously, you know, losing the titles at the 10th anniversary show, you know, it was a wild match as well. So I just wondered sort of what are your memories of that match and how hot did the tag team division feel at that time?
That was the gauntlet match, wasn't it?
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah, I got a bit of a crazy story. So I was getting a flight back from Barcelona. I'd been on my brother's stag do the night before. Woke up, nearly missed my flight, lost my boarding pass because I didn't have it on my phone. Charlie had to get me from Luton Airport. We were we got to the venue 20 minutes before the match started, and it was a gauntlet match. So if you really take all that stuff that's not known into account, yeah, crazy. And that
Yeah.
venue's class as well, by the way.
Yeah.
Honestly, I felt your pain when you said stag do. Like, oof.
doing anything after a stag do, let alone wrestling a gauntlet match.
So this is how wild it is. I plan to go to the stag do on the first night, come and do progress on the Friday, then fly back out Saturday morning. But after progress, I was dead. I just didn't join them back up.
Yeah,
And I sacked
That's
off.
off, yeah.
But
It's the
even
thought that counts.
yeah, even doing that match, because it's loads of little matches in one.
Yeah.
I remember just being absolutely exhausted. But and also you never want to lose the belts. You always want to be the champion, but you kind of need to lose to reinvent yourself a little bit, and that's what I felt we did from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. So at 134, you had another match with Sunshine Machine that went to a time limit draw. How did that kind of shape your rivalry with Chuck and TK moving forward?
We had so we started having these matches and with them, and I started to realize. I was saying to Charlie, our best matches are with them. Like
Yeah.
they very much the same as us, very creative, very different to other tags there at the time. And every time we seem to get in there seemed to be this magic that happened. And then obviously, as I imagine we're going to go into the other matches that followed from that. But I think it was that one where I realized like this is our, it's nowhere on the same level, but this is our Rock Austin. This is our team. That is our rivals.
Yeah. I love it. What you say about going into other matches, I think it was super strong style. You had a triple threat ladder match. Obviously, you didn't get the win, but many believe that you stole the show. So just wondered what your reflections were on that sort of chaotic night.
This isn't the one I did the Destroyer in, is it? This is the one with 0121.
So it's the triple threat ladder match.
Yes,
Superstar
yeah,
Style
yeah.
16.
And this was the surfboard.
Yeah.
Yes.
Charlie takes the gimmick for the surfboard. Oh, mate,
Oh,
that
yeah.
whole that whole match. Yeah. I think it's really difficult to do ladder matches in 2024, 25, where and do something new, something that people have never seen before. It's impossible. There's so much content and stuff out there. So to try and make your Arsenal a bit more impressive is just so difficult. But I think in that match we did lots of new things that I'd never seen before, and to me like that meant a lot to me because we were being what's the word? We were being creative and we were being a first. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
No, yeah, of course. Like you say, it's difficult with like I suppose the standard being set with ladder matches to do something different. But I think, well, as I said before, it was many believe that you stole the show, and I'd agree with that. To be fair, and,
Thank you.
Yeah,
yeah.
So obviously we talk about Sunshine Machine, chapter 149. Obviously you left Chuck Mambo bloodied in the ring, and you joined Spike Trevay and Bullet. What was kind of going through your mind, and what did you learn from your time with them?
So I've known Ben or Bullet. I've known him for years. So he's a really good friend of mine. So to be in that faction with him and Charlie, another great friend of mine, was just mint. And Spike, I learned so much from Spike. His level of detail to storytelling is unbelievable. And just so it's like the little things. We would come to the ring with him, almost like his like little henchman, and just listening to him on the mic, and everything he does is reactive to what the live crowd says. Just phenomenal. I didn't realize how witty he was until he's standing there in the ballroom and he's just giving some shit back to someone else. I'm like, fuck, this is class. Like, I want to laugh, but I can't.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed it. I love factions in wrestling. You know, it goes back to like when they used to have the ministry and the corporation, that kind of era. To be in it in Progress was so good. And there's nothing better than being a villain stable. I loved it.
Nice.
Yeah, no, there's some fun to be able to be in the back
Oh,
end.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, you know, you reclaimed gold again in a ladder match at Chapter 153. So I just wondered what did that win mean to you, and sort of how do you respond to the critics who questioned how you won?
Yeah, so we'd had like a 6-month break from Progress as well. And it was almost like we came back I think it was about that. And then we came in straight into the title picture, which I can kind of see why people doubt it. And then the way we won, like using help. Do you know what? It's all about winning. It doesn't matter how you do it. You just got to win. You know, no one.
Victory's a victory.
I can say I'm a 3-time champ, but you never look back at how I won those times. It was just you're a 3-time champ. Yeah, and
the record books don't say that, do they?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the match I did that. The ladder destroyer where I like slingshot over.
Yeah.
I was watching. Was it No Mercy? Is it Edge and Christian against the Hardys, and they do. He like leapfrogs the ladder and does the leg drop, didn't he? And I watched. I thought, God, I wonder if you do that into a destroyer, and that was it from there. Just from watching the night before, I think it was.
Yeah, I love how you can just take any scenario and go, can I turn this into a destroyer?
Yeah, I know. I don't. My back kills from it, I swear.
Oh, what a surprise. So obviously you had a street fight with Lycos Jim at 158 in the ballroom. You know, that match was absolutely wild.
Loved it.
You suffered the loss, unfortunately, but what were your memories of that one? Another wild one?
Do you know, another, like, I love working Lycos Gym. They're such a great team. But that night, I don't know what it was. When Charlie is in the zone, he is just a nightmare. I think there's one point where I think it's Lycos 2, like jumps on him and he's just carrying him on his shoulder and then just drops to the ground on the outside and just flapjacks him. He went and got the mannequin and just started beating him in the ring with it. I think I did the Arabian facebuster with a mannequin. It was just all these different things. Like you're trying to be serious and mean, and then you just do stuff like that. But that is Charlie in a nutshell. And that match sums him up. Like so much talent, so much intensity, but then he'll do something daft. That's Charlie Sterling.
So at Chapter 160, you had a 6-man against Sanity. So I just sort of wondered, how do you prepare for a match against such a powerful unit? And what are your sort of memories of that unforgettable entrance?
It was class. And you know what? It's the first time I wrestled Eric Young as well, like for me and for Charlie and Bullet. So there was like a little bit of I don't know, not like a bit of like anxiety, because that's a top name, right? And he's done it all. And now we have to show him how good we are. So for that, and Damo and Axel as well. And that was I think it was our first run in with them, or it may be like a second one. So again, you just want to show them how good you are and how good of a unit you are. And so for me, that when we come out of it, we're also proud of it, and for that reason.
Yeah. I mean, you talk about run-ins with Sanity. Obviously, Chapter 163 was an interesting one. You had a title defense, coming over Sanity, but then ended up with a loss on the same night as well, with losing the titles to Cheeky Little Buggers. So, how do you kind of reflect on that?
Devastating.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I remember we beat them. I used the old foot on the ropes trick again. Like, win any way you can.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
We did a little parade around the ring as well, and then obviously we open challenge it. But I tell you what, looking back now, because I'm out, just the pop, lying there, even though you've been beaten, but just hearing the noise that they're the moments in wrestling, that you'll always remember.
No, 100%. So chapter 170, you had a triple threat versus Sanity and Sunshine Machine. Now, Sunshine Machine were added in late, so I just wondered, how did that change your strategy going into the match, having sort of prepared for the threat like Sanity and then having Sunshine Machine suddenly in the mix?
It completely throws you off the ball because it's not. So if it's 2-on-2, it's tag rules, but as soon as you put another team in, then there's no tags, so it becomes basically no DQ. You can do what you want, which for us, we can't cheat then because we're on the same playing field as everybody else. So I want to say it's luck and gambling and timing, but that's literally all it is.
Yeah, it takes away your secret weapon, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So at 171, you win the titles after that street fight with Sanity. How did you kind of prepare for that one? Obviously, a street fight with those guys, but then how much fun was it seeing Chuck Mambo and Sanity kind of miscommunicate for months afterwards?
Fantastic! One of my favorite bits is when he smacks Damo, or when I push him out the ring. It's horrendous. All the force I had, and he goes out kind of like sideways and tucks through the rope. But that when we wrestle Lycos Gym in a street fight, we could pick him up, throw him around a little bit. You cannot pick Damo up.
He's an absolute unit.
We can pick Axel up together, but Damo, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, one of the most painful things I've ever had in wrestling. We are fighting near the merch stand, and he throws a bin at me. But as he throws it, the bin turns an angle like this and lands between my shoulder blades. Ooh. Jesus Christ. And then a little bit afterwards, he gets another bin, pours it on my head. But obviously, it's like beer, cider, food, and it's all over me as well. Yeah, horrific.
Note to self: avoid bins.
Yeah, no props. So obviously you faced an all-female team in the experience at 172. I just wondered, with that type of match, did that bring any different pressures or expectations?
Yes, definitely. Because it was something we'd never done before as well. And when the opportunity arose, we wanted to prove as well. Not, we can beat anybody. It doesn't, gender doesn't matter. We can still win. And we were still going to win the same way. We still were never going to play by the rules.
Of course.
It did not matter at all to us. So we were just like, we'll still win any way we can. And so for that, and I'm really proud of the product we produced in the end of that match as well. It's another fun. I have so many fond memories of Progress. And I was saying at the end of my last show, I do think it's my best body of work. My work with Charlie, the act we created as well, it just everything. But yeah, I kind of forget all the different opponents we had. Lots of different variety there, isn't there?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, talking about variety in opponents, 175. Obviously, how do you kind of adapt to the chaos of facing both Moth Dog and then Miller and Bakewell as well? And how do you feel to
that was
comedy elements in wrestling?
That was wild as well. I think when we realised who we had. So for us, we have these serious matches, and then we go to have these big street fights, big ladder matches, and then this is just something completely different again. But for me and Charlie, we wanted to show we can work any style, any time, and still try and put on the best matches we could. And that was definitely a product of that for sure.
Nice.
Yeah. I think you've kind of touched on this a little bit, but chapter 178, you lost the titles to Sunshine Machine, going viral for one last destroyer in the process. But obviously after the match, you cut a heartfelt promo, and I just wondered, looking back now, how do you feel about that moment and your Progress run overall?
There's one moment, and me and Charlie were talking about this on Friday. We're lying there, and the fans are tapping, smacking the apron, canvas. Sorry, smacking the canvas as we're lying there, and I think he whispered something to me like, "This is what it's all about," and it is it's all about those moments. And just sitting with him on Friday, like had a couple of beers as well, and just reminiscing on all the things we've done and it's weird. Like people always tell you, like, "Oh, you're one of the best tags in the country," and you never quite believe it. And then when you sit back or you watch the matches back, like I have the last few weeks, like finding clips to make videos, I'm like, shit, we were really good. Like, and then I like get in my head like, oh, have you done the right thing? But I could go into that kind of worms. Just whether you doubt yourself when you doubt your right decision, but I definitely burnt out. So it does make sense. And that destroyer, I don't think I'll ever be able to top it, and that's probably why it was so good to go out on. But
Yeah,
I can tell you, my hand on heart, I have never been more petrified for anything in wrestling than that moment that I'm in the slingshot, looking up, going, "Oh shit, here it comes!"
and this is a guy who dives off balconies and
Yeah.
off.
The balcony was like, "Oh, okay, well, I know there's 12, 15 people there. I'm fine." This is like that is concrete floor.
Yeah,
And also the timing, catchy. Oh, 100%. Yeah. One thing wrong.
Yeah.
And I thought of it one day, and I probably should have let that memory go, but I kept it in my head for ages. Like, oh, I really need to do that at some point.
I've just got these
when I did
visions
it.
of you just in like everyday life, just anything that happens going, could I turn that into a Canadian Destroyer? Could I turn that?
Yeah, 100%. I see something in a match. I'm like, oh, what if you just did that instead of this? Yeah, silly, like very silly. But my progress run, honestly, I've loved it. I just all of it, and it probably doesn't get said enough, but they treated me like, I don't want to say, yeah, they treated me like a star. They looked after me, always accommodated me, always made me feel so welcome and so much part of a team. And I've had that before with other companies, but I just don't know what it was. But they just made you feel, especially like the creative guys as well, just made you feel like you're up here as a talent, and I really appreciated it, especially afterwards. And I thank them all individually, but yeah, it was just so nice. It's nice to get something back like that, because you turn up on the show, you leave, you go home, you don't see them again for another month. But yeah, I'm just very appreciative of everything Progress gave me. I mean, I gave it some silly bumps, but that's what they gave me.
But no, it's nice that, like you say, it sounds like they give you something special there, and that's exactly how a company should work. So.
And obviously, all the fans, everyone has definitely appreciated everything you've done as well.
Just might as well throw in a shameless plug. We are on Demand Progress Plus, so obviously, for those who are wanting to look back at your progress run, you can do so on Demand Progress Plus.
Absolutely.
Where you can also find this interview. I'm not sure. Is that going to work? You have to be on there watching this anyway.
Yeah,
I don't know.
We'll figure it out. But yeah, before we ring the bell in this interview, we do have a recurring segment that we call Quick Progression. So it's a lightning round, so fast answers, no hesitations. Okay. And we find that no one can answer instantly. There will be hesitations, but
I'll try.
Okay. Favorite Progress opponent?
Sunshine Machine.
Okay. Dream Progress opponents?
I always wanted to work the Motor City Machine Guns, and it would never sort of pay off. I don't know if that classes as Progress opponents.
Yeah, or not?
We can go.
Are we going with that?
Yeah, we'll go with that. If you could recommend one show on Demand Progress Plus, what would it be?
Oh, you've got me on that one.
Favorite chapter of all?
I'm going to say the last one, just because there seemed to be a great buzz backstage. So I'm going to go with that.
Fair. Okay, if you could recommend just one match on Demand Progress Plus, what would that be?
My last one. The last tag from the other day. Yeah, I don't know. There was something about it. I haven't even watched it back yet. So I might watch it back and hate it, but you never know.
I doubt that.
No, definitely not. And lastly, and this is what people struggle with, what 4 wrestlers are on your Progress Mount Rushmore?
So they have to be from Progress?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Charlie Sterling.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I'm going to say TK Cooper, because he was We were like RVD and Jerry Lynn with our crazy spots together.
Nice.
I'm gonna say Cara Noir because he was the man when I came in,
Yep.
and I'm gonna say Spike Trevay because of how good he was to me and how much I learned from him.
Awesome.
Love it. Great
I love it.
choices.
And you kept to the ethos, no hesitation. I think you're the only one who's done
Yeah,
I
that.
know,
Mount
yeah. You've
Rushmore
done the
there.
best so far, let's be
It's
honest.
like you were ready for it. I love it.
It's because you said no one had done it. I was like, right, I've got to do it then.
He loves the challenge.
This
He's
is
thinking,
a- this is- yeah.
how can I Canadian destroyer this?
I was gonna say.
But honestly, Nick, thank you so much for taking the time, and best of luck for whatever's next.
Rest and recovery.
That's it.
Thank
Well
you.
deserved.
Thanks again.
Cheers, thank you.